Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, councillors and guests. I'd like to run through some housekeeping arrangements. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and the sound recording will be made available on the council's website. In addition, it's being live streamed onto YouTube. Under the openness of local government bodies regulations, people may film, record, tweet or blog this meeting, and this is outside the council's control. I would also like to remind councillors and the other people attending the meeting that the fire exits are to the rear and to the side of the room. There are no fire alarm tests planned for this evening. Could I also ask everyone to turn off their mobile phone or switch them to silent so the meeting isn't disturbed. I would like to remind councillors that when they speak, they are required to stand unless they are unable to do so to address the meeting. This is a requirement of our constitution. I will now ask my chaplain, Wendy Dalrymple, to say the prayers. Wendy.
Thank you. Well, it was a delight that my first outing as chaplain to the mayor in this largely ceremonial role is on such an auspicious occasion. When I discussed this role with the mayor, we agreed that during my time of office, I won't lead traditional prayers at this meeting, really mindful that we are a wonderful multi-faith borough. We represent people of different religions, faiths and backgrounds. We each come with our own perspective. So drawing on my own Christian heritage, I will offer at these meetings a thought for the day, if you like, and then I will leave a moment of silence for you to pray if you wish, during which time I will pray for you to reflect from within whichever tradition is your own, or to check Twitter, whichever feels the most appropriate use of your time. The silence will be obvious because I will stop talking, and the silence will end when I return to my seat. So with that in mind, let me offer you a thought at the beginning of this meeting. Up until the last few days, I think it's not too much of a stretch to say that sporting pundits would be in agreement to say that one of the greatest unexpected sporting moments of the past decade was a little-known club called Leicester City winning the Premier League. Personally, I'd only just moved to Loughborough when that happened, and I knew nothing about football. I still don't, and I did confess to a lovely young man, who I think you're going to meet later, that I don't really know anything about it. But even I was caught up in the celebration, the euphoria that followed that win. When you lead a church like I do, with a number of Fox's season ticket holders, to be quite honest, you just have to get with the programme. However, and I hesitate to say this, and do so with some nervousness, but I think as far as a league table of great unexpected sporting triumphs go, Leicester City may have just been supplanted by an 18-year-old tennis player. Emma Raducanu's win at the US Open last weekend was extraordinary. At just the age of 18, she dominated the tournament, becoming the first qualifier ever in the Open era to win a Grand Slam. The first British female winner since Virginia Wade, the youngest women's slam champion since Maria Sharapova, the youngest Briton to win a Grand Slam title, the list goes on. And I have no doubt that there are even some young members of the public here today who may have been inspired by her win. And she's done it all with charm, grace, and the kind of self-belief that, quite frankly, I'm envious of. Whether you're a tennis player or a sporting fan or not, her smiling face on the front pages of the newspapers has been a ray of sunshine. Likewise, this summer with the Paralympics and their sister games, we have all had a bit of endorphin kick, have we not, from watching athletes perform extraordinary feats. And of course for us here in Loughborough, there were a few moments at both those games when we were doing particularly well in the medal table. Unexpected sporting wins are of course the sweetest. We love an underdog. But there's also something about appreciating the journey, the hard graft that goes into getting someone to the top of their game. The glamour and the glory of the podium or the victory parade comes only after countless hours, days, years of unglamorous hard work, away from the cameras and the adulation. There is cost and sacrifice in being an elite athlete, being away from your family, prioritising training over your social life. And I suspect that for all those reasons, you can't achieve greatness in your sporting field unless you really love your sport, regardless of win, lose or draw. Which brings me to the Borough Council and to the members I see in front of me. Don't worry, I'm not going to ask you about your sporting prowess, although I do know that the Mayor has recently walked 26 miles through the Lower Peaks. I ask you to ponder, before you begin the business of your meeting this evening, why you do what you do. Whether you were just recently elected or whether you've served for years or perhaps even decades, what brings you to serve as a borough councillor? Because I'm pretty sure it's not for the glamour. There aren't many podium moments for borough councillors. This evening is a bit of an exception and it's quite a special one. But essentially, the work of local government, the work of councillors is unseen. It's not glamorous. It requires an attention to detail, for sitting through meetings, for sifting papers. But the best moments surely come when you have those unexpected joys, those unexpected wins, when you help a resident in your ward access some benefits that they were trying to get hold of, when you deal with a particular incident that's gone on in your community and you make life better for the people that you serve, when you come together to create more than you could possibly on your own. These are the unexpected joys, the unexpected triumphs, the unexpected wins of serving as a borough councillor. So as this meeting gets underway, I invite you in a time of silence to remind yourself why you do what you do and to continue to strive for those unexpected wins.
The first item on the agenda is apologies for absence. I've received apologies from the following councillors: Julie Bradshaw, Mary Draycott, Jane Hunt, Mark Lowe, Roy Rawlings, Ken Pacey, John Savage, Emma Ward and Ian Bentley. Any others? Any other from the floor? And I've also received apologies from the following Honorary Freeman and Honorary Alderman. Honorary Freeman, Mike Jones, Honorary Alderman, John Bush, Tony Stott and Joe Tom. Are there any other apologies? No, okay. So I'll now move on to item 2, disclosures of personal interests. I now call on the Chief Executive to report on disclosures of interests in the business to be considered at this meeting, which have already been made by councillors in advance of the meeting. Chief Executive.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The following councillors have all disclosed a personal interest as supporters and or season ticket holders: Councillor Bartley, Councillor Grimley, Councillor Popley and Councillor Snart. In addition, Councillor Paling has also expressed a personal interest as an employee of Leicester City Football Club. Thank you.
Item 3 is to consider the conferment of the title of Honorary Freedom of the Borough on Leicester City Football Club. I call on Councillor Barclay to move the conferment upon Leicester City Football Club now.
Mr Mayor, ladies and gentlemen, councillors, I move that pursuant to provisions of section 249 subsection 1 of the Local Government Act 1972, that Leicester City Football Club be hereby conferred the title of Freedom of Borough in recognition of their eminent services to the borough and its people. We are honoured to have with us tonight Susan Wallen, the Chief Executive Officer of Leicester City Football Club, Brendan Rogers, the first team manager, Casper Schmeichel, the team captain, and Tony Kavanagh, head of operations at Seagrave Training Ground. I think the achievements of Leicester City Football Club have been absolutely outstanding. The club won the FA Cup for the very first time in the football club's history this year. They defeated Chelsea 1-0 at Wembley in the final on Saturday the 15th of May 2021. The club has now won English football's three major honours: the Premier League, the FA Cup and the League Cup. They lifted the world-famous FA Cup trophy to the skies following a 1-0 victory over UEFA Champions League finalists and subsequent winners Chelsea at Wembley Stadium on 15th of May 2021. Leicester City's women's team, who have played their home games in Horn this season, have also delivered inspirational success with promotion to the Women's Super League after winning the Women's Championship. It's not just all about football. This club has invested heavily in our borough. The club's training facility is a £100 million development on the site of the former Park Hill Golf Club off the A46. It's absolutely superb facilities. It's brought economic activity and prosperity to the borough. It's also based within our borough, and the club has already developed strong community links. I feel that for the whole of Leicestershire and Leicester City, this club contributes to our pride in what they've achieved. I was somewhat surprised to hear Monday Dalrymple say they were a little-known club. They're very famous, world famous. We will forgive it for that mistake. But I think on this basis, for what they've done, it is a fitting tribute that the club be conferred with this civic honour.
I call on Councillor Mear to second this motion.
Mr Mayor, ladies and gentlemen and councillors, I second the motion that pursuant to the provisions of section 249 brackets 1 of the Local Government Act 1972, that Leicester City Football Club be hereby conferred the title of Freedom of the Borough in recognition of their eminent services to the borough and its people. To say that Leicester City Football Club have had a tremendous few years is probably an understatement. Winning the FA Cup earlier this year, and who could ever forget their title-winning year of 2016. The celebrations in the city and throughout the county, including here in Charnwood, at a time they were wild. An open top bus tour was the biggest celebration party I've ever been to. Victoria Park in Leicester, London Road in Leicester, you could not move for the people. Mr Mayor, Councillor Barclay has touched on the investment made by the club in the Sarby area, the Seagrave area. I think the development there of £100 million, Councillor Barclay said, and that just adds to the excellent services that the borough will provide for them. So I'll just add my support to those comments. Amongst all the footballing accolades, though, which are many and rightly deserved, there is another side to the club. A side that rarely gets a mention, but is what makes this football club great and worthy recipient of the honour we choose to bestow upon them today. I am of course referring to its great community work and the links that it has developed throughout the city, the county and here in Charnwood. The football club by any measures is a success, but it has used this success to help those around it. Whether it is to help local primary and secondary school kids enjoy the game in their own school playground, or to help local youngsters develop their footballing talents, the community team is there, whether it is to help those less advantaged in our society, including refugees and those fleeing to a war and persecution, and to help them feel welcome and integrate through sport, it is there. Whether it is to help people get fit and active and helping to provide them with support in mental health and well-being and physical health, it is there. I could go on, Mr. Mayor, but a quick view of the city website lists over 40 members of staff directly involved in the community development, and it lists all the fantastic and, dare I say, rewarding projects that they are involved in. Over 40 staff, Mr. Mayor, that's a huge number by any standards, and it goes to show the commitment the club is making to the community. The football club touches so many aspects of so many people's lives that the 90 minutes of football played by the first team is only a small part of the whole. What the club delivers is so much more, and that is why I'm happy to second this motion. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Mayor. Does anyone else wish to speak? Okay, Councillor Start.
Mr. Mayor, I am pleased to support conferring the title of Honorary Freedom of the Borough to Leicester City Football Club. Some 70 plus years ago, I attended my first match at Filbert Street on Boxing Day. I was passed over the shoulder of standing supporters, so all young children were at the front of the terrace to have a good view of the action. I believe over 40,000 supporters were inside the ground on that day. I suspect in my wildest dreams I would never see the recent achievements after so long just falling short on the occasions of being so close to winning the FA Cup. I was chairman of the County Council during 2015-16 season when winning the Premier League and Mayor of Charnwood when winning the FA Cup. During those years I was able to hear firsthand from residents how much pleasure and joy these remarkable achievements have given to people. This especially through these most difficult and challenging times we have experienced. Winning the FA Cup certainly lifted the spirits enormously within local communities. I believe we should also recognise the part the owners of the football club have played in this success. I believe they have been instrumental in the achievements, also the contribution they have continued to make to the well-being of the local communities. Thank you, Leicester City Football Club. You have achieved something special over the last few years. I support the motion.
Councillor Park.
When we look at benchmarking against the Leicester cities of this world, who we see as our competitors commercially, we are behind them. And they're the words of the commercial director of the team I support, because I am actually a wolf living amongst foxes. And as a lifelong Leicestershire resident, but also a home and away season ticket holder with Wolverhampton Wanderers, I think I can bring a bit of perspective, an outside perspective to this, because Wolves are holding you as a template for what we're looking to achieve. And having sat down and thought about it, I think there are three things that categorise why you are where you are and why many of the clubs aren't. The first one is steady growth. You do it year on year, but each year you get incrementally better. There's not a single year since you've won the Premier League where you've backslid. And I know that next year you'll be even better. The second is financial prudence. When you consider what you've achieved, bearing in mind the budgets of other clubs, it's outstanding. And the third is commitment to excellence. It's commitment to excellence in your academy, commitment to excellence in your training facilities, commitment to excellence in your transfer strategy, and commitment to excellence in your coaching. This wolf left the King Power Stadium last month having watched 2 evenly matched teams. However, in reality, we are way behind you. And your achievements and your levels that you've taken yourselves to need to be recognised and praised. And finally, congratulations on your biggest achievement, because you're the only team that have ever truly broken into that top 6 for good.
Councillor Grimm.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have been a long-term supporter of Leicester City Football Club, not quite 70 years that the council staff mentioned, but to give a sort of clue, my brother is a Leicester City mascot, led Leicester City team onto the field, led by their then goalkeeper Mark Wallington, so it is a few years back, but he's got another fantastic goalkeeper here for the club as well. So we have followed Leicester City through the highs and the lows, and the highs of the last few years have been absolutely fantastic as a long-term supporter who have followed Leicester City thick and thin. But we don't shouldn't forget that part of the reason why we're here is also because of the fantastic new facility within the Seagrave Salby area. It is a great facility. I was on the planning committee that approved that, and we had a good look at all the plans and that side of things, and not also to get the local community work that the football club does do in the area. So that's really I'd like to say thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Grimm. Councillor Hamilton.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to make the observation that it's delightful that we're seeing so many young faces here this evening. I suspect that they're not here for the second meeting of this evening, perhaps for the pedestrian and his business. But welcome to stay if you wish. It's in fact here to witness Charnwood Borough's recognition of Leicester City's contribution to this borough and the great pride they have brought to this region and beyond. Hopefully, the young people here will be motivated by what we're seeing tonight to achieve their goals in the future. I support this motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else wish to speak? Councillor Park.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll keep it very brief. I wasn't sure if I was going to speak tonight or not, but the opportunity is too good to miss. Brendan, Casper, Susan, thank you for everything you've done for us as a club. I'm a lifelong fan, as is my dad. You've made all our dreams come true, and I wholeheartedly support this motion. Thank you.
Okay. If there are no more speakers, no. Councillor Case-Allen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I should have declared an interest before, but I didn't get round to it on email, and you moved on rather swiftly after the list. I waited 60 years for that wonderful Premiership win, and I was running up and down the garden when Chelsea scored to equalise against Spurs and killed their effort off. And I waited 64 years for that very first FA Cup win, and so I'll declare my interest and say that I keep an open mind as far as I can. And I'd like to pay tribute to the family, because without them, none of this would have happened. They are an absolute model in how to run a football club. And the scenes at Wembley with Casper and the others celebrating with the owner, it was just a family atmosphere, and not like some other clubs we can mention with billions of pounds and no feeling. So I think we owe all of this initially to them. But well done, the best goalkeeper in Britain.
Okay. Okay. Councillor Taylor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I feel I should speak for the females because we've had all males speaking, so I'm just getting up and speaking for the females. But I'm sorry, I'm with Wendy a little bit, that I'm not a football connoisseur, but I sense the community spirit that came around that win. And I did actually come to the bus tour for the winning of the Premier League, but I have to admit it was only because I was working in town and I'd finished work and I was just walking for the bus, but I just happened to join in and have something to wave when it happened. It was a great one to see that happening and the win of the football. So just for the females do support the team, it's not just the males, so I'm standing up for the females. Really good to see you here today, really good to see all the young children here today, so well done, and I'm really great to support this motion for you, thank you.
Thanks very much, Councillor Taylor. We're going to have another man, Councillor Paul. Councillor Paul.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to make an observation that if anyone ever doubts the power of football to bring people together, to create an identity, then perhaps look at what we're doing here. Is it on? I think it is. I think it is. Maybe I just need to speak louder. So, I'm a football fan, third generation, the team I follow. My son's the fourth. Look at Councillor Snort talked about going to the match 70 years ago. We have some of the younger fans at the back there, and I can guarantee that in 70 years' time they will be talking to their grandchildren about the time that Leicester won the FA Cup. And it's that continuity, it's that creation of an identity that I identify within my family that I talked to my granddad. He was a season ticket holder with Michael after the war, visited Fairfield Street actually in the 40s, and passed that on to my dad, passed it on to me, and it's definitely been passed on to my son. And I sincerely hope for generations after that. So it's not just about the Saturday, winning and losing. It's not just about from one season to the next. It's about the identity that a football can create. And I know that better than most. Football is a central part of my identity. My team is an absolute central part of my identity. It's impossible to separate that from who I am. And to see this here today is an example of that. And as I said, on the one hand, we've got a councillor who was on Fairfield Street 70 years ago, and we have at the back people who will most likely be at the King Power 70 years from now, and that's what football can do. I will be supporting this motion tonight.
Okay, I think we've got time for one more. Does anybody else wish to? No? Okay, Councillor Harris.
Councillor Lee, I wasn't going to say anything at this point, but the tears are flowing. I was brought up for breakfast, dinner, every day for Leicester City. You know, my mother had 4 brothers, and that's how we lived. Waiting for the green on a Saturday, you know, to get the results out, was the highlight of my week. And I have never lost that. I shouldn't be staying here. I've always loved Leicester City, and so I'm always proud whether they lose or not. You know, I'm not saying anything about all of that, but I am so pleased and proud to be able to be at this ceremony. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Harris. Okay, I now declare the speaker queue closed. I'm putting the motion to the vote. Can I see all those in favour, please? It looks to me like that's unanimous. So, congratulations to Leicester City Football Club. Please come forward to the front of the room to accept the official honorary
councillors, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the owners, directors, management, staff and players of Leicester City Football Club, I'd like to express my fullest gratitude for the high honour bestowed on the club today. It really is overwhelming to be standing here and accepting this on behalf of the club. It has been our great privilege to celebrate our recent successes with you as proud members of the Charnwood community. We are truly humbled to have those successes recognised with such distinction. The club has always been committed to and aimed to be representative of the wider county of Leicestershire, embracing the significant proportion of its supporters that emanate from the boroughs and towns outside of the city. Several of the towns have provided the setting for a number of our players and staff to set up homes for their families and bases for their careers, embedding themselves in Leicestershire life and building an affinity with both the club and its surroundings. The borough of Charnwood in particular has been an ally to the club in that sense. Villages such as Mount Sorrel, Quorn, Rosalie have provided that endearing sense of home to a great number of our personnel over the years, including LCFC Women, as mentioned earlier on, whose formative years in Quorn laid the foundations for their recent ascent to the FA Women's Super League. And in Loughborough's Hamza Chowdhury and Southam's Luke Thomas, we have two young players at the heart of our first team squad, born and raised right here in the borough. So when we began exploring plans to develop a new world-leading training facility in Seagrave, we knew we were coming into an environment that was already very much part of Leicester City life. Not only that, but a setting that has been active in Leicestershire's tradition for sporting excellence, to which recipients of this very honour would testify. Continuing to develop and attract world-class sporting talent in Leicestershire is a central pillar of the club's long-term vision, boosted by the region's long-standing reputation for nurturing some of the most gifted sportsmen and sportswomen in the world. In the borough of Charnwood, we have found stakeholders, working partners and communities that share our passion and belief in the inspirational power of sport. We're extremely proud to be adding to that tradition, building the foundations for the clubs and the city's future sporting success every day within the borough and deepening our connection with its residents. In that sense, we intend to make this recognition of eminent services to the borough and its people just the beginning. We aim to be good neighbours and to be part of your community, and would look forward to welcoming you all to this facility in the course of time, obviously with restrictions in place now. But thank you all once again on behalf of all of us. It really is a great honour to be here and to receive this award. And yeah, thank you.
Councillors, ladies and gentlemen, it's customary that we retire and process back into the Mayor's Parlour, where further photographs will be taken. There will now be a short adjournment, and we anticipate the ordinary council meeting to commence at around 7:30. So we'll see you then. Thank you very much.